Welcome back. Page 94 of Mr. Kent Hovind's dissertation. We were discussing frogs and princes and millions of years. Mr. Hovind continues, "Let me give you just a few evidences that the Earth is young. First of all, the coral reefs that are growing off the coast of Australia is growing at a certain rate. People have said that the growth of the coral reefs ought to show us how old the Earth is. With study, they discover that under certain conditions, coral grows extremely fast. Under other conditions, it grows very slowly. So the rate of growth is very difficult to determine. To prove that it happened at a constant rate, right after the flood, as all of the water went down, all of the decayed plant matter would have made the water very high in minerals, and decayed plant and animal life would have been high in nutrients to make anything to grow. Food would have been readily available with all of the rotting carcasses of the vegetation and the animals. The coral could have grown much faster under these conditions. Then it would have slowed down to its current rate. People who have studied coral reefs say that they could have been formed in 4,000 to 5,000 years with no problem. If the Earth is older than that, why are the coral reefs much larger? Their rate of growth indicates a young age for the Earth. The bristlecone pine trees, the red trees, and the sequoia trees in California. The guides in California say that there is no reason any of these trees should ever die. Apparently, they will live until some disease attacks them. If they are protected from the disease, they will just keep on growing, adding a ring every year. One way, of course, to tell how old a tree is to drill a core sample and count the rings. The bristlecone pine tree grows extremely slow. By the time a tree is 100 years old, it is not quite 1 inch in diameter. To count 100 rings in a ½ inch is difficult and must be done with a microscope. Counting rings is a little more difficult than just sawing down the tree and looking at it. The bristle pine trees indicate an age of about 4,000 years maximum. If the Earth is millions of years old, why don't we have a 50,000-year-old bristlecone pine tree someplace, or a 500,000-year-old? The age of the oldest living thing in the biosphere, the bristlecone pine, indicates a young age for the Earth. The evolutionists don't look at that one because that doesn't support their theory. The pressure in oil wells in Texas is another indication that the Earth is young. I lived 5 years in Texas. I saw a flame shooting up in the sky one night and went over to investigate. There were some men burning off the natural gas as they were drilling an oil well. I began asking them questions. Talked about the oil there in Longview, Texas. They told me that they have a blowout protector that they put about 1,000 feet down in the ground in case they drilled into a pocket of pressure. I asked them what kind of pressure they were talking about. How much pressure is the oil under down there in that ground? When drilling down about 3,500 feet, often the oil has 20,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. If you have ever pumped up a bicycle tire to 70 or 80 pounds of pressure, you understand that it is pretty hard to do. That pressure would crack the rock in the strata, because after a period of time the rock could only withstand the pressure for so long. Some scientists spent quite a bit of time studying different rock strata that oil is found in, and the strata that oil is found under, and tried to determine how long the oil could withstand the intense pressure that it was under. Melvin Cook did quite a bit of study on this. The studies indicated that the oil could not have been under pressure for more than 10,000 years. The fact that the oil is still under that pressure indicates that it has been down there less than 10,000 years. Often when they first began drilling oil wells in the early 1930s, they would hit a pocket of pressure and it would blow everything up out of the ground. That 30 or 40,000 feet of pipe would just be shot up out of this ground like spaghetti because of this intense pressure. I would like to ask the evolutionist if he has some kind of answer to the fact that if the Earth is indeed millions of years old, why is the oil still under such incredible pressure? Why hasn't it dissipated into the